we've got the Germantown unrolling video. This looks like it's going to be a big map. That, my friends, is a big map. What you do with these canvas maps is you roll them a little bit the other way, spin them kind of tight. And there it is. Alright, now I want to show you a couple cool things about this map. So here's the whole map. We're going to zoom in. No, this we want in. In we want. Now that right there is Cliveden, or Chew House. This is the fortified house that caused so much problem for the colonials. Stone house, and the British held up in there. Now you can't put a full unit, which represents 1,500 men, in a house. But you can use a detachment, which can be anywhere from a couple dozen to a few hundred men. It doesn't matter, it's not specific, it's a small amount. You can take a detachment, stick it in Chew House, and even though it's much bigger than the house, you say we're there, and they have to fight as though they're all holed up in Chew House. -1 to hit, and you can't flank them when they're in the house. The other thing that I think is really cool about this map that's new is you'll notice on these ridge lines, it's real obvious. Let me move this out a bit. It's real obvious where the top of the ridge line is. So if we zoom back just a bit, it's pretty easy to see, especially in the woods over here, where the ridge lines on the hills are. Previous to this, it was not quite so obvious. And actually, I used to take, I've taken a pencil and drawn a hard line all along this ridge line because it's fairly obvious when the map's empty, but when you've got piles of troops all over it, it's hard to see. So they've really improved that. That's awesome. I really like that. How do you find Chew House on the map? Where to go? Here it is. It's red. And I can tell you, looking down at the map, it's pretty obvious which the little red building is. Now, thank you to the magic of the internet, I was able to look up how to pronounce the names of the two rivers. Because we're not all from out east. Out east, I know my sister-in-law lives out east. She knows how to pronounce these things. I don't. This is the Schuylkill River. Schuylkill, that's how you say it. And this is the Wissahickon. The Wissahickon River. Again, magic of the internet. Now, the way I said it may not be exactly the way a native says it. You can listen, you can look it up on the internet yourself and give it a shot. The other pronunciation is the German commander, Nefausen. Now that name's been slaughtered right and left. Is it Kniphausen? Knipschen? I used to call him Knipschen just because it was fun to say. But K-N-Y-P-H-A-U-S-E-N. Nefausen. Nefausen actually sounds pretty cool. So anyway, that's how you say his name. Reserve cards here. The 3.1. So it's a new edition of the rules with some minor changes. Okay, wait. Hold everything. I do want to talk about these rules. The rules themselves, as far as the rules of the game, have been tweaked, smoothed out some bit, but the big thing that's coming up in 3.1 is that they've reorganized the rules. When they first wrote the rules for pub battles, it was using current informational best practices for technical writing and saying this is how you do it, this is what's done. Now, that was really cool, but that's not the way that gamers are used to having the rules handed to them. And it created a lot of confusion. People who'd never played war games actually found these rules fairly easy to understand, and it worked pretty well for them. But that's not the main market. The main market is people like me who've played war games for years, and you're used to seeing the rules presented in a certain way. So they've gone back and just presented the rules like you expect to see rules presented. And I got used to the old way of doing it, the way they were doing it before, and I really liked it. But I have to admit, now that the rules are all laid out, as every other game's rules are laid out, it makes much more sense, and it seems a lot simpler and clear-cut. The system is simple, and now the rules feel simple, even for gamers like myself. So that's my quick cut in, hey, this is the deal with the rules. This is why there's 3.1. They didn't so much change rules as they just said, let's present them this way. So, back to our regularly scheduled video in progress. I haven't read this yet. I don't know what's going to go in the final 3.1 rules. It's just minor stuff. Little things cleared up here and there. In Germantown scenario booklet. Historical background. Some notes about the troops. How to win. Designer's notes. And the campaign game. Campaign game, you can fight Brandywine, then Germantown, then Monmouth. Very cool. It looks like we've got some extra Colonial Command, Armstrong and Smallwood. Another thing I want to show you is when I store these games, I actually roll the maps up together. Put the smaller map inside, the Brandywine map inside, since they both use the same set of blocks. Roll them up like that. Fit them in there. And then I've ordered, these are necklace boxes, which they use, for jewelry, for putting necklaces in. I got like 25 of them for 25 bucks, so more than I'll ever use. And it's a great way to store the armies in. Then they just fit in here like this. Put the top on the box like that. And then, you can see that I've got a larger wooden box, and I just stand them up in the wooden box and store them like that. When I go out to a pub or travel anywhere, I have this really nice leather document case that you can get off Amazon. Now this costs close to $200 to get a leather made case, but it's really cool. So anyway, like I say, this is about 200 bucks. It's less than like 179, 150, I don't remember. I couldn't buy a lot of them, and I'm not rich, but I am not a student either, and I can spend money on some things that I find value. This is cool. It's great to take on the road. I always get compliments from my fellow gamers, and hey, that's cool. Well, I'm gonna get this all set up and we're gonna have some fun.